Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of GameGuru MAX live broadcast number 97, and I apologise for the short delay. This is the first time we have scheduled these broadcasts, which means we put it up on YouTube like announcing it before time. But it's an interesting system. It uses a different stream key and you can have two broadcasts on at the same time. I need to make absolutely sure, at the very least, there's at least one person on one of the streams. So I managed to find a couple of people and thought, right, that's the stream I'm going to join. So I apologise for those who might be sitting on another stream somewhere, and you'll probably get to see the recording later on. But I do hope that you realise it's quite empty and there's no Lee, and maybe you want to move on to look for another broadcast. But before any of that, I just want to make sure that everyone can hear me fine. It's a sound test. It's one of my little rituals. And it looks like someone's and emptied my question. From Tom, yes, we can hear you. Great, wonderful. You can see my screen. Let's move on. So the format of this broadcast is in two parts. The first part is a demo where I get to show you what the team have been working on this week, ready for a release on Friday. So there'll be a Friday update 2 days from now, where you get to play with all the things that I demonstrate today. And the second part is a Q&A, where you get to ask your questions and I get to answer them. But I am joined by Zach, and he will answer your questions right away, if he can, whilst I'm doing the demo. So hopefully, by the end of the demo, there will be some questions that Zach couldn't answer, but I can, or I maybe can answer them better. And then Zach will repost your questions for me so I can rattle off those answers quickly and try and get through and see how many questions we can get done before the end of broadcast. So without further ado, I'm going to launch the software so I can show you what I want to show you today. And that is a new system that we've added. We added it a while ago, but we just ran out of time, and so we thought, let's get it in because it's really cool. And it's called the Marketplace. Now, what is that? Well, if you are interested in getting more objects for your game, or more sound effects and more music, at the moment you kind of just have to scour the internet, grab a file and then bring it in. But now, if you click on the Add button, which traditionally is where you can explore our library, the library that we give you to start making games with, you'll notice there's a new button called Get More Objects. When you click Get More Objects, it allows you to get more objects. And this is what it looks like. It's fully functional now. I've still got a couple of more days to make some final tweaks and little efforts here and there, but this is the bulk of what you're going to get in Friday's build. There's obviously bug fixes. Bugs will be every time we do it. There'll be bug fixes in it, but this is the big one. And there's another thing I want to show you, which I'll show you after I've done this. So it's divided roughly into 4 sections. These are the 4 current ways, the best ways, you can get new graphics, new objects into your game levels. There's using what we provide. So this is GameGuru MAX. Click this, it will take you to our DLC page. We currently have 2 DLCs. We've got one what's called a booster pack and one what's called a game kit. And they're very different. I've explained it in previous broadcasts, but quite briefly. Imagine a booster pack of taking a particular thing and giving you lots of them. That's the idea of a booster pack. And a game kit, it gives you all the individual elements that you need to make a game in a particular theme. So that's the philosophy behind a game kit. And we've now got one of each to demonstrate what those 2 things kind of look like, well ahead of when we start rolling out more of them. And you can access these right now. If I just click on the Aztec game kit, you'll notice it takes you to the browser, which is the GameGuru MAX Aztec Game Pack, like so. And I think at the bottom, Dancing Aztecs. And then at the bottom, you can add it to the basket and you can check it out there. Now, if you click that and you was on the Steam version, then it would take you to the Steam page. But we've given you buttons so you can actually bounce to each one. You can go to the Steam page and look at it from there, or you can go to our TGT site and look at it from there. There's slightly different product pages, so there might be different information you can glean. The second column is the Game Creator Store. It used to be called the TGC Store, but it's not ours. It's a third-party store, and it's run by a guy called Jason, very cool dude, and he's been working on it for years. So it's really got a lot of features now. It's really amazing to see where it came from and where it is today. and Jason kindly agreed to do some integrations. So this is a pretty clever column. I think this is the cleverest column of the lot. Why? You see these thumbnails here? They're not hard-coded into the software. Oh no. These are generated from the Game Creator Store server. So think of things like Editor's Choice, or maybe a particular artist being promoted. Then this will dynamically find that information out and place these thumbnails right here. So every time you come to the marketplace and click Get More Objects, there's a very good chance that these objects will change. And the idea is, you know, the best objects will be picked and put right in front of you, so you don't have to go hunting for them, and it keeps it nice and fresh. Or you can just click on the Game Creator Store and it will just take you straight to the Game Creator Store itself. And the good news is there's a specific landing page for GameGuru MAX. So there's the regular store, which was for GameGuru Classic, but GameGuru MAX has its own front end, and this will expand. This is just a placeholder, slightly more than a placeholder. It works, but this will expand as we get more GameGuru MAX appearing on the Game Creator Store. So that's how you would get it. If you can click it from there, or you can just click this at the bottom once you've bought something. Now, I'll just show you this briefly, but I won't use it. If you have bought something from the Game Creator Store and you want it in GameGuru MAX, then this is the facility that you'd use. You'd first log in, and then once you've logged in, anything that you've purchased, it does a scan. And anything that isn't up to date on your local machine, it will just download just those items. It doesn't download everything again, just the bits that you don't have, updates them, and it puts them straight into GameGuru MAX, and you can use them straight away. And you'll notice that if you're running on a build where you've actually installed GameGuru to a writable area, but you've also got the My Docs writable area, you get the choice of whether to put it into, say, what you call your parent product, or whether you kind of want it separate from that root, from those clean files, and have it in your My Docs area. So you get the choice. On Steam, you don't have the choice of sticking it in in the non-Steam version, because it's in the program files, which, as we all know, is write protected. It's a read-only system, and so you can't download things into the programs files area. Thank you very much, Microsoft, which is probably a good idea. And so you would just default to this one, which jumps into the writables folder. So that's how you would get all your purchases into GameGuru MAX without leaving Max, which is pretty cool. We also have an affiliation with Sketchfab. We've been talking to Sketchfab for about a year, and you know, they're very forward thinking when it comes to selling assets, because they let you. Let me just go to the home page, which is from that link. What's really cool about Sketchfab is, look, I can rotate straight away. I don't have to just look at a picture. They actually do a little 3D renderer inside their browser, and you can browse all kinds of things. They provide, primarily they provide FBX and GLTF and an automated GLTF. And the good news is we actually support both of those. We support FBX, GLTF, and we also support to a full degree DVO, because that's our proprietary format, and OBJ, which is a static format. So some pretty common formats that we support. And the general idea, at the moment, these are all ours that we submitted to Sketchfab. Sketchfab is a store where you can buy assets, but also if you're a seller, you can sell assets. And these are some assets that we put up just to test the system. So you can see there's a little ammo crate. We're charging $3.99, which is extremely cheap for if you just browse 3D assets in general. They are actually quite expensive. We've been notorious for the last 10 years of selling our assets at a very good price. I don't mind saying so. And so these will change as well, as we want to maybe promote some new stuff that we've put up onto the Sketchfab store, or even other artists that we want to highlight, and we can change this with each update. And perhaps down the road, this can be live as well as the Game Creator Store system. And the idea of Sketchfab is once you've bought your asset, you can download it into any folder on your computer. And then this last section, import your own, this is where you'd actually select one of those models. It converts it through the model importer that you may have seen in a previous broadcast, prepare it all so it's GameGuru MAX compatible, and then you can drop it into your game. And to show you what that might look like, either something you've imported from Sketchfab, something you've bought from the Game Creator Store, this is how it would look. So in the Game Creator Store in particular, there'll be a new purchased folder. So this probably will be empty when you get an update on Friday, but as you start downloading your purchases, And I must admit that the Game Creator Store is, again, very affordable. You're paying like 10 cents, 20 cents, 50 cents instead of like $6, $7, $8. So definitely check that out. But these are, and the reason I'm putting them in because we actually put these on the store, just so we're not going to infringe or ask too many permissions. Not sure about this one, but it looks pretty cool. And these were downloaded from the store, and they immediately appeared in your object library. I could select them, drop into the level, and then when I run, these are the objects, and now I'm going to get shot by the futuristic girl and futuristic boy. So thank you very much for that piece of violence. I am allowed here, it's my level. Anyway, so you kind of get the idea. When you run out of objects that we've provided, built into the software, you've now got a conduit to go out, find objects very easily, very conveniently, and bring them back in conveniently and just get them into your game. And before I move on to the next thing, I just want to show you one other thing. Not only have we catered for objects, we've also catered for sound effects. So if you are asked to select a sound, which you should, that's a sound zone, so you enter it to play a sound, and then you specify that sound, and you can see we've got our sound library, music and sound library. And these are all the things that we provide. We provide quite a few, I know. But we know it's never enough, so get more music and sound, you click that, and you get a modified version of the marketplace. This time it gives you access to all the ways in which you can bring sounds and music from the outside world. Watch this space in the future. I mean, yes, you can actually go to the Game Creator Store right now and select audio, but I think what we're going to do in the future is have maybe you click that and you go straight to the music and sound, and it's already been pre-filtered for you. And perhaps down here, just as you saw with the Editor's Choice featured products, maybe there's featured products for sounds, but trying to create a thumbnail out of a sound effect is pretty difficult. So please let us know what you think about that, and you might want that represented. Maybe you can preview the sounds before actually going deeper in. There's little play buttons on each one so you can listen to them. That might be a great way of doing it. And just as before, once you've purchased sounds and music from the Game Creator Store, use the download store items to get them onto your computer. We've also made an affiliation, just like we did with Sketchfab. We've also affiliated with Shockwave Sound. So you can click Shockwave Sound, it takes you here. We've been using Shockwave Sound for years and years and years. Never looked back. So much choice, both in sound effects and music, that we were very happy to sort of recommend these guys if you wanted more sounds and music that we haven't provided. And again, it just shows you the formats that you can go out and buy. WAV, MP3 and OGG are the three formats that GameGuru MAX supports. Again, once you've bought them and downloaded them, you can import your own. So all you're going to do is import music and sound. I'll just do a quick demonstration. Let's say I'll pick this recording 4, open. You'll see what happens. This is where you've downloaded it, that's your local area. Then you want to give it a path within where you want it, and then name recording. Remember, it was a .wav. When I click the convert button, and then I go to where I placed it, which was users, dink. You see what it's done? It's converted to recording-4.ogg. Why has it done that? Because OGG is a great format. It preserves most of the quality, in fact probably all of the quality, but it takes a WAV, squashes it right down. It's pretty much the same as a WAV, but it's now in the .ogg format, and then you can select that if you wanted to and drop it straight into your sound zone. So you can imagine you went through the whole process. You can go to Shockwave Sound, buy a sound, download it, go to the importer, convert it to OGG, attach it to your sound zone, without having actually left the Max experience. You're still right on your sound zone that you just dropped down, and you can crack on. So that's the idea of the marketplace. It gives you a way to kind of sneak out, grab the assets you need for your game, sneak back in, carry on designing your level. So that's what I wanted to show you for the bulk of my gabbling, which is the marketplace. I hope you enjoy that and let us know what you think and what we should be prioritizing next. In the future, we are looking at extending the marketplace to bring in images and video and particles and other media types, but we figured objects and sound and music were the biggies. So that's what we started with. So baby steps. Now what am I doing? I'll try to explain. I'm going to show you the second thing that I want to show you, which is, make sure I'm not going to get attacked, is some new behaviours. I'm still adding objects. I really want some more objects to represent this, but I have enough. I think I can get away with the objects we've already got. So I'm going to drop in a barrel, and I'm going to drop in a cylinder, and you'll see why in a bit. Just put that one up here. Let's start with this one. So everyone knows the exploding barrel, you shoot it, it goes boom. Well, we have a new behaviour now. If we go into the object's behaviours, look, dynamite. And it ain't just dynamite, it's basically a lot of controls to decide how and when and under what conditions an exploding thing will explode. The barrel has been preset to be explodable, so you need to make sure your object does that. But once you select your dynamite behaviour, you now get all of these properties. You can set whether it's manual, whether it's on a remote trigger, whether it's timer, how long before it actually explodes. I want to just pick it up and place it, give myself 5 seconds to run away, and then I want it to blow up. So that's the properties that I'll set for this barrel. I'll click run, go up to the barrel, press E to pick up the dynamite, or in this case a barrel, but you can change the dynamite name to anything you want. Run over here, press P, and then 5 seconds later, whatever object you've decided to use, it blows up and damages anyone who happens to be in the vicinity. So that's a new behaviour you're going to get this Friday. And another one, and it has been requested, if you ever find a situation where you've dropped in an object that was set as static and you think, how do I set a behaviour? How do I make it a real dynamic object? Super, super simple. Just go to General and set it to Physics On as opposed to static. So keep it Physics On. When you go back to behaviour, voila, you can now give your dynamic object some logic, something it can do. And if we scroll down, and there's going to be some more behaviours, I'm just going to show you two, so please enjoy many more behaviours when you get to find them out and discover them on Friday. It's oxygen. Now I know anyone who does scuba diving will know it's not oxygen. You don't breathe oxygen, you'll die. It's compressed air. But we're going to call it oxygen because everyone in games seems to think you just breathe pure oxygen. So I'm going to go with that. And it only gives you a little bit of air. It's like a little mouthful, so I'm going to give myself a lot because I wanted to demonstrate what it does. And you can choose your own value, of course, in all these different properties. And maybe I'll give myself lots of health, so I'm going to give myself like 500 health when I get this. And what I'm going to show you, demonstrate basically, is just drop this into the water about there. Now normally, let me just run the game. Normally, is when I go into the water, I have 500 health. Watch what happens to it after 8 seconds. I lose a quarter of my health. What happens after 8 more seconds? Another quarter, another quarter, another quarter. And that was kind of it. You could do underwater, but you only had like 4 long breaths. So watch what happens. See how every 8 seconds I'm losing a quarter. Now I collect that. It just said collected oxygen. You can change that text to whatever you want. I've got my extra 500 health. But I'm just going to go deep now. Because I've just given myself, I think, 25, either 25 seconds or 250 seconds of air. And I'm not going to choke for a while. And that's what the oxygen behaviour is. It gives you an extra lung full of air, and you get to choose how much that is. And optionally, some extra health if you want to play it that way. And we have cylinders, lots of different cylinders. So you should be okay for... There you go. I think that's. I think it was about 25 seconds. So now I'm going to eventually not get to the bottom of this because I am going to die. And you know, I've passed the point of no return. There's no way I can get back up there with more oxygen. So those are just 2 of the behaviours that I want to demonstrate. But I certainly will indicate the other 2 that we have in as of Wednesday. We have bounce. That will be attached to a game zone marker, you know, a trigger zone. And you get extra properties about how high you go and also the velocity, and you can play a sound as well. And I think there's another one. Is it in doors? Yeah, here we go, door sliding. And door sliding, if anyone remembers, maybe you've never used it, but door sliding traditionally was just up and down. If you ever play the switch escape, that big metal door that moves up, that's actually using the door sliding. Well, big credit to Steve. Sorry, Steve, I can't remember your cool forum name. Necrum, is it? Necrum59. He went to town on that script and added lots more. Now these doors can go sideways, at a diagonal. You can choose how far they go. You can choose the speed, when they do it, how long they take to do it. Full set of controls for moving a door very specifically to your requirements. And I think you'll find it particularly useful if you're doing sci-fi games and you want doors to move a certain way at a certain speed. Well, check out the door sliding one. Pretty cool. We have a few more that only today was being validated, and those will go in. But I want to keep that powder dry just in case at the last minute we can't get them in for the Friday build. So some really cool things for you to enjoy, or at least look forward to, before you get to play it on Friday. And before we get to the Q&A, because I will forget, you know me, anyone who watches the broadcast knows what my brain operates at. I just want to remind everyone that the deadline for a height map competition is this Friday. You only have like less than 2 days left, less than 48 hours. If you are interested in joining that competition with cool prizes, and you want to check out the terrain generators importing height map feature, and if you create something like, oh wow, that's pretty cool, submit it into the competition, you might win. So it's this Friday. Just wanted to let you know about that. Okay, with all that said and done, I'm sure you have questions for me. So I'm going to drag across the chat, and I'm now going to ask Zach to post a question whilst I bite off the last question of the live chat so far. And that way I get to not miss any questions that people have diligently asked right at the beginning of the broadcast. Just checking out the time, make sure we're not going to eke too much out of it. We did waste 5 minutes whilst I made sure I was on the correct stream. So I'm going to add 5 more minutes. It looks like about 8 to 9 minutes for questions. So I apologise if there's like a gazillion questions. I only get to answer a few of them. So let's just find the last question, sorry, before Zach chimed in with the first one from the beginning. How do I activate swimming? You don't need to activate swimming, just run into water. And you can go underwater. If you want to swim the surface, just point the camera upwards and it'll come out of the water and stay on the surface. You can swim across oceans and seas and rivers and lakes and whatever it is you want. So there's no need to switch anything on. Just dive into the water, you'll start swimming. Even if you dive into the water from a great height, you won't hurt yourself. Maybe you'll want that feature. But right now, water is now your friend, providing you stay on the surface and have a lungful from time to time. So, questions. Who's got the question? Zach asks a question on behalf of somebody else. Will there be any more weapons with the new hands? Any future weapons? That's kind of why we did the new weapon system. We wanted to make it even easier, A, for us to create and provide you with new weapons, and B, so it makes it just a little bit easier for you to create your own weapons and share them with the community, and if they're good enough, maybe you want to do something official with us and we can release them as official weapons. That's why we did the new weapon system, just to make it that bit easier. So absolutely expect new weapons. And in fact, it's certainly my commitment that when we do a game kit that needs weapons, it will have weapons. So when you think game kit, think weapons. It's the opportunity, isn't it? A new game theme, a game needs a certain thing. Right, what weapons does that game have? Boom. That's our opportunity to throw some weapons into every game kit. Here's a question I want to ask from last week. Will GameGuru MAX have an animation feature to make cutscenes for? No. In a way, yes and no. We are looking at animation. We want to expand the choice that you have in terms of animations. We're still working on the details of that. But what we will not be doing is rewriting a 3D modeler and animation package. There are already far superior tools that can create 3D models and rig and animate those 3D models. It won't really be our business to recreate every tool on the planet. We're a small team, so we need to focus on the things we do. So if it's pure animation that you want to do, find something like Blender, which is free and super powerful, and lots of tutorials, and you should be able to get one of our rigs, animate it with your animation, and then just import that. Model Importer lets you do that, and our animation system, and you can add your animation onto any character that you create in GameGuru MAX. So that is definitely available to you, and we don't really need to do all of the stuff that Blender does. Here's a question from Zach again. Will get shader support Or is that an... Oh, here is a question. Will get shader support for animating trees and bushes, etc. because moving grass and static bushes look kind of weird and unnatural. Yeah, we are certainly having on our list to move trees, bushes and grasses, but we've moved that forward into the future because we want to tie that in with weather effects, wind effects, strength of wind, direction of wind. You know, we don't just want grass moving around randomly. We'd like to tie it in with something that you could control. And when you choose weather intensity, that's the perfect control to move trees and grasses and bushes. So bear with us on that. We'll get it all done in one go, hopefully. Another question, will there be automatic LODs or an option to have custom ones? The latter. The latter. We already have a LOD system as sort of in there somewhere, but it's not pretty exposed. And we do want to expand that. In fact, we're already working on that in the background because we are... At the same time we're fixing bugs, we're also working on performance improvements. More on that in future broadcasts. But part of that trick to give you more speed is to make maximum use of level of detail techniques. So it will be the latter. If you try and automate LOD and auto-generate low levels of LOD, sometimes the models can really mess up. So our first stab will be controlling the quality of those lower level LODs, and that's the technique we're going to go for. Question from Lucas. I got here late again. Oh, the pain, the pain. You bubbling boo-boo. Anyways, how can I make the enemy units start patrolling as soon as I get sight of them instead of having to get really close to them? Yeah, there's a couple of ways. You could set a zone and then just attach a visual logic link from that zone to the character. That character will instantly wake up. Set the character's range really big, so as soon as that character... And also there's a property in the character attack properties where it's already alert. It's off by default, so tick that on. So it skips the, who's there? It instantly it pretends it already knows where you are and starts the attack. So do those three things and your enemy should be a lot quicker, and there isn't any of this looking around for a while before they spot something in the corner of their eye. Here's a question from NatFallX. What do you think about voice proximity? I don't know what to think about voice proximity. If you've got time, maybe post some more details. If not, there's always the forums and the Discord channels, or maybe throw in a question right at the beginning in next week's broadcast. But I'm not sure what that means, sorry. It looks like Zach's chimed in with something. Maybe he picked up some other details earlier on in the chat. So question, this is from CJ. Would it be at all possible to have a feature where the water rises with a timer? That'd be nice behaviour, wouldn't it? Control of... Right now, as many people know, we have one water table. It can rise and it can lower, it can go away altogether, or it could be an underwater level. Now we've got the oxygen behaviour. But being able to control that water, you can certainly do it in script. There's lots of stuff you can do with the scripts. But I think what you're asking is, more behaviours please. Can we not have a behaviour where we can set that behaviour? Much like the door sliding logic. That is something like that would be pretty cool. And here's the thing. I don't necessarily have to get my team to write that. We have community members. In fact, there's a few, I can count 3 immediately, who could write that. They could write that right now and create the icons and provide the behaviours, and then we can drop it in to like next week's build. So go ask them. And if you don't know who they are, check out the forums and ask. After 20 minutes, someone will tell you. Okay, here's a question. This is from Cyan the Bee. I want to ask from last week, will GameGuru MAX have animation feature to... Okay, we've answered that, won't we? Yes, we have, Lee. 3com asks, any oxygen meter? Some bar that indicates how much oxygen you still have. Well, here's the secret. The dynamite, the oxygen, the door slider, and the bounce, all written by a third-party contributor. We literally just... All we did was test it. We tested it, made sure it worked. It made a few little tweaks, formatting, a little bit of formatting. And now it's part of the official build. Boom. So it wasn't really us who added it, and so we never thought about oxygen meters and stuff. We just dropped it in because it was cool. I dare say you could have an oxygen meter. You have a lot of script commands that can draw 2D stuff onto the screen. But bear with us because we are looking at VR, and VR is going to change the rules a little bit in terms of if you're going to create something that's on your HUD, something that's on your screen when you look at it like health or lives or armor strength, etc., you're going to want that game to work in VR as well. And how you display that HUD will be different. And we're devising a system where you only have to figure it out once and it'll work good both on a 2D monitor and in VR. So maybe it's a good idea that we just postpone doing too much HUD stuff until we have that VR element, in which case when we do it, we can do it for both 2D and VR. So looking at the clock, we have pushed to 35 minutes. That's exactly the 30-minute mark. But I don't just want to stop, so I'm going to pick 2 more questions and then I shall tip my hat and calls it a day. So who gets the last 2 questions in the order in which they were asked? Oh, here we go, lots of questions here, but I'll just ask the first one. Answer, Morbot. Filter effects, what parameters are these working off? Can we select one as a starting point and then modify it? The filter effects, as far as I know, are fixed for each level. So you can pick your filter effect, and for the whole level, you're using that filter effect. I do not think there's a script command for changing the filter effect dynamically in your level. Good idea, though, isn't it? You just give me an idea. What if there's a cutscene where everything goes, you know, noir, or some weird psychedelic thing as you just eat a mushroom or something? So that's a great idea. Please do email me that, because that isn't a very difficult thing to add into the scripting system, and I'm sure a behavior script writer will take full advantage of that and create a new psychedelic behavior out of it. And the last question of the evening from Zorgo33. A feature used the old dynamic cloud sky from older GameGuru MAX versions. I think that might be a nice thing to have for optimization or certain game styles and preferences. Question. A feature for use of old dynamic. Yeah, I think we know what you mean. We have 3 kinds of sky right now. We have full simulation, which is full volumetric clouds, all the clever physics, etc. Then we've got skyboxes. Skyboxes are just big cubes that you're standing inside and you get a nice HD, super high resolution sky. And then you've got no sky at all, which is just the fastest way of doing it. So I think what the request is here is, can we have the skyboxes but have a layer of clouds that move in the sky? That way there's a little bit of dynamism going on, even though using skybox, which are super quick. And I do think we're going to have to do that for something like VR. VR is like anything you can do to speed it up, we're going to do. And the reason is we have to render, and this is basically our current benchmark, and we're still figuring out how to get there, 120 FPS, rendering the entire scene twice. And this isn't just any old scene. This is like terrains, trees, grasses, all the objects, all the effects. Rendered twice per cycle at 120 FPS to run on one of our benchmark devices, the Valve Index, which is just about the nicest VR headset you could probably buy right now. And so if we can pass that test, we'll pass a lot of tests. And as a byproduct of that performance work, anyone who's, say, running on integrated graphics gets a free boon, because there are going to be extra settings which switch certain things off. And it could be that the cloud slice, scrolling cloud for a skybox could make a return. But we don't know yet. We want to do things properly. It's no point just optimizing in the blind. We profile, we look for bottlenecks, and we focus on those. So that's how we're approaching our optimization work, which is running now in parallel to bug fixes and these little features and functions that we push out from time to time. Sometimes something we did it, sometimes it came from the community and we thought it was so cool that we'll add it to the Friday build, which is what we've done with the behaviors. Nice. Okay, I think I have used up all of my time and all of my word counts for this Wednesday. Again, just want to remind everyone the competition ends in 2 days. So if you fancy creating something from the real world using a height map importer, please check that out. I'm sure competition details are somewhere around here, and hopefully we can post it into this YouTube recording in case you just missed the broadcast but you still want to watch it and then find out where is this competition thing. So until next week, it will be Wednesday, 7 p.m. BST, not GMT, BST. Just found out BST started like end of March. So it's 7 p.m. On Wednesday, BST. So until that time, I shall say goodbye. I hope you enjoyed yourselves, and I'll speak to you all next week. So until then, Goodbye.